Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Colonelcast, and today we've got another amazing solo episode for you again. Today we're talking about the Switch 1 era of Nintendo. You know, we're going to talk about video games on the movie podcast, because that's the only one I got, you know? It's always weird when there's no one else here to fill time when I forget what I should be saying. But okay, so the gist of this is, right, the Switch era, I'm pretty conflicted on it, you know, because on the one hand, I love my Switch. I think it's probably the single best video game console of all time, you know? Even when you compare it to like the Steam Deck, it can do more things and play more different kinds of video games than basically any other console aside from now the Switch 2, and I would argue the Wii U. But it's also not, like, the Wii U is not good for a number of other reasons, you know, other than all the features it has, you know. And that's mostly just because the Wii U can, in theory, play DS games, you know, in practice. When you actually play them on, like, the Virtual Console, it's no good. Like, Mario 64 DS does not magically become a better version of Mario 64, you know. I liked the DS New Super Mario Bros. I played that on Wii once. I like Partners in Time on there, you know. But like you know, it's like the Wii U had great potential with its hardware because it could use the Wii remote, you know, so it could do all of the things, you know. And the only reason the Switch doesn't quite match up to that standard is because the Switch 1 has the one screen, you know. And I'm coping that they're gonna, for Switch 2, they're gonna do like a second screen attachment, or I believe this was in a patent somewhere, let you use the Switch 1 as the second screen and then play like DS games and stuff. That would be sick. And like authentic Wii U gameplay making a comeback. That would be phenomenal, right? But okay, so the Switch, you know, outside of this, the fact that it's one screen, the Switch is the most versatile console, right? It's got so much stuff. You can pull the controllers off and use them as motion controllers. That's why it's better than the Steam Deck, by the way. And of course, it can switch, you know. It's a revolutionary form factor, and that is fantastic. It also has probably the best library of any game device outside of the computer, if you include emulation, right? And Steam is probably beating them overall, just because like everything's on Steam except for Nintendo, right? But I feel like Nintendo games are very, very good, and like a lot of them are fantastic and like some of the best games ever made, you know. So I feel like that's like I could not go without playing Nintendo games. I feel like I could go without ever playing a game that is on Steam before I could go without playing Nintendo stuff, you know. That includes Half-Life, unfortunately. Thankfully, it's a trade-off I don't have to make, you know. But the reason I'm conflicted with the Switch era here, you know, is because I don't think that the new exclusive Nintendo Switch 1 games are, by and large, like, extremely good, you know? Like, I'm talking first party from Nintendo, okay? A lot of them are very good games, you know? But I feel like when I play any of these ones, there are things from other past Nintendo game stuff, you know, like in the same series, there are things I'm missing, right? I don't know if any series was at its best on the Switch outside of the fact that there are ports, right? Like, if you could not play Mario 64 and Sunshine and Galaxy 1 and now 2, as of recently, now you can play Galaxy 2, and also 3D World and Odyssey all on Switch, I don't think that just Odyssey on its own is, well, I guess that might be as good a place to start as any, you know? Let's talk about it, okay? Mario Odyssey, I got some problems with it, okay? We did a whole podcast with Florian at one point on, I believe it's on his channel on the Gamer Lane. That is, it's I don't really care for the moon thing. I don't care for the way that those levels are structured. When you compare it to Mario 64, which is the game they're basing it on, right? I tried playing Sunshine. It's straight up, it's not Mario 64. It's not like an open sandbox game. It is straight up just structured like Galaxy, and it has a nicer hub world, and that's it, okay? Bullshit. And I think you can get some of the shines out of order, you know, but that doesn't, like, not to the degree you can in Mario 64, right? And you can't get all of them out of order in 64, But you can't get them all out of order in Odyssey either, so like whatever. You know, like on a per level basis, you know? It's just not possible. But the thing I don't like about Odyssey, most of all, is probably the movement, right? And this is a weird thing, right? Because these are going to come down to pretty specific complaints for most of these games, right? Like, because although there are some overarching trends, you know, I feel like the Switch has kind of moved into they've really moved into like player expression and like freedom in a very, in a way that I don't really care for in video games, you know? So for example, in Mario Odyssey, you can just, they have these big open empty kind of levels, you know? They're mostly empty, they're very large. And there is quite a lot of like stuff to do. There's a lot of stuff to get in there. They have over-polished the movement to the point where it is not as fun as I think it could be. And honestly, I don't really care for the movement in like Galaxy. 3D World, it's fine, but that's because 3D World is like a very specific structured kind of game, you know? It's and it works there. It's 2D Mario movement, but in 3D, you know, so that's fine. I'm not a Sunshine fan, okay? Mario 64 is, I think, the gold standard of movement in 3D video games in general. There's something about like the weight of him and the speed and the sort of like, you can build up momentum to some degree, but it's not like an insane point, you know? It's not like crazy and super easy all the time. In Mario Odyssey, in every game except for 64, I believe the long jump slows you the fuck down a lot. And it kind of slows you down a little bit in 64, right? In fact, you know what? Here's a little behind-the-scenes secret, right? Originally, this was going to be a Super Mario 64 video exclusively, but it is not that, as you can see. What do I want to do here? Which one do I want? Let me pull up 64, okay? Let me demonstrate some things for you, right? Let's talk about the mission structure, though. The mission, I don't really care for the mission structure. It's just no good. Because there's like, you're just going around these big empty levels, and I don't care for it. It's not very much fun. I just don't like it. And it's like a lot of the moons are very disposable. You know, this is a thing people have talked about before, I believe, in the world. Let me open this up here. 1 second. I'm distracting myself and making a bad show, you know, because I'm no good at what I do. It's already pretty low. Let's lower it even more just to be safe, you know, because I actually have no idea what the damn audio levels are. Wait, I can check, right? Too high. Let me lower it, okay? That looks fine. Whatever. Whatever. And of course I need to make it so you can see the thing as well. This is important. This is important, chat, okay? It's very important that we get this right. Boom. There we go. We're gonna call that good, okay? You can see my icons on the bottom right, but I don't really mind if you stock my, whatever. We're playing co-op because that's the one that's easy to set up, okay? Look, it's nighttime, right? I'm Toad. It's Mario. We can demonstrate that it's Mario, right? Fuck me. Look. What? Go away. Okay. Look, I'm Mario, right? So here's the thing, right? The long jump, it kind of... Right? So, okay. So if I go and I run, right? I'm at this speed. This is Mario's top running speed. You can get pretty fast just through doing stuff like this a lot. And that's pretty good. If you do a long jump, he's sort of... I believe if you're already going fairly fast, he will slow down like a little bit with the long jump. But overall, it feels very nice, and it feels like the momentum kind of carries through, you know, in a fun way. It's very good. By the way, I recommend this port. It's very nice, you know, and as you can see, you can kind of just play it single player. You can just put like a password on the thing, and you can do whatever. These are all optional mods, the weird shit, and like the time mode, you know, whatever. But yeah. So look at this, right? It's very skill based. For instance, if you want to do a wall kick, you better get the timing down, and it's not hard timing, you know. It's not bad, but it takes some effort to learn it, right? I remember distinctly when I booted up Mario Odyssey, I went through the Cap Kingdom, and I was somewhat enthralled by the Cap Kingdom. Then I reached the Cascade Kingdom, and I realized, oh, there is a spot here. You know, there's like a spot right after, because you knock down the big bridge, and then you see the little ship, and to the left of the ship, when you're entering the area for the first time, there is a block that is blocking off a big pipe that leads up to the top of like a little ledge or whatever. And I was like, oh, you know what? If I do some master platform stuff, I can get up this block, you know? And I did. I did some wall jumps, and I did some jump off the hat trick, you know, because in that game, the way to win and the way to do everything easily is you jump, you throw the hat, and then you do a dive, and then you dive, that dives you onto the hat, and then you do another dive, basically. Or you throw the hat again, and then you do another dive. I can't do this trick. See, and this is exactly my point, right? I can't do this trick right now in Mario 64, where you get on top of this castle, because I don't know how you turn around, because you're supposed to turn around at the top, right? I don't know that. I've played this game so much, probably hundreds of hours. I don't know that. In Mario Odyssey, I can do anything, because it is the one trick. Wins every time. It's the jump off the hat. Sometimes you throw it in with some wall jumps, but it's the dive onto the hat, and you win. And that's it. It's a very, very shallow game. And this is going to be a running theme, you know? Because, of course, I took a picture of my shelf so I wouldn't have to actually look at my shelf right next to me. Because the Switch games are high up on the shelf, okay? So, and they're all red, you know, because the spines are no good. Except for the one that's not red, which we'll get to. But, okay, so 1-2 Switch. We don't really need to talk about 1-2 Switch, okay? It's not as good as Wii Sports, though. If we're going to compare those as if they're related, it's just not. Animal Crossing New Horizons, okay? This is another one, right? I wouldn't consider myself a massive Animal Crossing fan, but I played quite a bit of New Leaf, okay, on the 3DS. Nintendo, they had a new little app that lets you look at all your old playtimes. I believe my Animal Crossing time was like 150 plus hours, or like... It wasn't 400. It was like 150 plus. And that doesn't include, like... Because I'm pretty sure I got a new 3DS at some point. And it didn't, like, carry over my stats. So, I don't think that's even it, right? I played a lot of that game. I really enjoyed it. I love the thing I love about that game is that it's like a little town simulator, you know? And it feels, to me at least, it feels like the obvious step for the Animal Crossing series would be deepening the character interactions and making it like, oh, instead of just you like know their birthday and you buy them one present based on like them talking to you, like you try to give them more like distinctive personality traits and stuff. The Mario noise might be obnoxious in the background. I hope to God it's not too fucking loud or this podcast is fucked. But anyway, yeah, so I'm gonna keep playing because I like stimming as Super Mario. But so yeah, I would deepen the character interactions. That's what I would do. I would do more events, perhaps more bugs, like more of the stuff that's already really fun. What they've done instead is, instead of being able to just redecorate, and this is something newly started, by the way, you know, with their like city, like town hall mayor projects where you build like a fountain or whatever. What they've done is they've just made it so you can, like, the whole island in New Horizons is just as customizable as your house, with like a lot of furniture and shit. And I could not give less of a fuck, you know? I'd like to make a little pathway. I'd like that to be like a secondary, lesser kind of project, you know? And I would certainly not like to craft every fucking bug net forever. That sucks, and it's terrible. It's just a bad idea. Like, nothing is made better by doing that. There's not, like, I can't even think of, like, one thing that's better with that as the state of affairs for Animal Crossing, you know? I think it is, like, a straight downgrade of New Leaf. It's just no good. And they should go back next game. I don't know if they will. They probably won't, because New Horizons sold, like, 40 million copies, so I don't know. It's like SimCity now instead of The Sims, I guess. Except the, you know, SimCity, like, there's very good SimCity successors, whatever. But and that's another thing, right? It is like, there's more room for player expression and creativity and less of deepening the mechanics that already kind of made the game really good, you know? That's just the thing there, right? And the next one I want to talk about, which it kind of breaks that trend, you know, it's not a player expression problem that I have with this one. It's Pikmin. Okay, I'm a big Pikmin head. I love Pikmin. Might be probably top 3 game series, period, as far as I'm concerned, Pikmin. And that is with the fact that I think Pikmin 4 is actually, like, if Pikmin 4 were the first Pikmin game, I would not be a Pikmin fan. I would not care. Because that game is so balls easy. It's no good, okay? The dog completely fucks all of the stuff, you know? And it feels like that game, the whole thing, it's kind of geared around, like, upgrading stuff a lot more than it is geared around interacting with the Pikmin and solving Pikmin-based puzzles with the unique stuff, you know? Like, the type balance is all fucked because you can just use the dog and win, okay? Because for those who don't know, in Pikmin 4, there's a dog, and you can get on the dog, all your Pikmin follow you onto the dog, and you can do a charge attack into enemies that sends all of the Pikmin flying onto that enemy, and then they just die. Because if you have more than, like, 20 Pikmin at a time, any enemy will just die to that attack, okay? And you always have more than 20 because there's a 100 Pikmin limit, you know? And there's not, like, a real hard mode, you know? They brought back the caves from Pikmin 2, but they limited the amount of fucking Pikmin you can bring in, or the amount of types. You can only bring 3 types, which just, it limits the, like, ability for them to make good puzzles. I don't know why they did that. I believe it's only the 5 types for the most part in Pikmin 4. Because in every Pikmin game, they have the 3 main original ones, and then they add 2 more. You know, that was sort of the formula. So I don't know why they limited you so much on that, you know? It's no good. And it's just like it's just, it feels like they just wanted to fuck it and, like, kind of make it a little, like, there's not room to grow and improve with it. It's just it feels like it's been dumbed down a little for the sake of selling a lot of copies on the Switch and broadening the audience, you know? And I mean, that's good for the Pikmin brand franchise, but, like, if the games aren't going to be good anymore, then, like, I don't know why I would care anymore, you know? It's very unfortunate. But Pikmin 4, I believe, did sell better than all the rest of them, which, I mean, of course it did, because it wasn't a GameCube game or a weird, like, half-released Wii game or a Wii U game. So, of course, it was going to sell really, really well, you know? It was on, like, a good, well-selling console. They could have just made it, like, a good, really high-quality, high-caliber Pikmin game, but they didn't. Also, it fucked the timeline, and that pissed me off, because I fucking love the Pikmin timeline, okay? That's, like, one of the only games. That game, okay, you know, you don't think of Pikmin as, like, a story-based franchise, but that is a game where after every level, you read, like, an in-depth character, like, you are constantly reading thoughts of the character that you're playing as, you know? You get more of an insight into Olimar and his family and his, like, personality and his struggles and his worries and his hopes and fears. You get more insight into Olimar than any other major Nintendo, like, main character. Outside of probably Fire Emblem or whatever, but I don't play those. So like, it's very disappointing that they've just completely deleted the story from the last ones, and they basically just made, like, a shitty Pikmin 1 kind of remake, and it just bothers me so much what they've done to poor Pikmin, okay? It's so sad. Next on my list here, right? I'm sort of skipping a lot of these, right? Because what am I going to say about Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze? It's Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, you know? It's not even from the damn console. Kirby Star... you know what? Kirby is at his best, okay? Kirby Star Allies, it would be a very different story if we just had Star Allies, you know? But HAL Labs, they know what they're doing, okay? Star Allies is, it's not great. I feel like it's sort of... I don't actually know anything about the development of those games whatsoever, but if I had to guess, I would say Star Allies was sort of a B-team kind of game being made like, oh, well, we'll use this to test our rendering pipeline for HD graphics now that we're off of the 3DS, and we're going to use this to... It's a very nice kind of junk food kind of Kirby game, you know? It doesn't really do anything neat or big with the formula, which most Kirby games don't. But then they did Forgotten Land, which is the best Kirby game. Or at least it's an extremely cool, like, very good Kirby game. And it's basically, you know, outside of Mario, okay, Kirby did not have a rough transition to 3D, you know? And neither did Mario, of course, because this game's amazing, that I'm still playing, that I'm still just having fun just running around the fucking castle courtyard while I'm podcasting. What a good ass game. I fucking love Mario 64, man. But Kirby, you know, Kirby basically came out fully formed, you know, and that it does help that it took him an extra 20 years so he could just look at what the rest did, you know? But still, I love Kirby. Okay, I'm a big fan, and Kirby did good. They did good, but that's not really, that's HAL Labs, okay? HAL Labs just knows what they're doing. They know Kirby, and that's all they do, and they know what they're doing. So that's fine. Luigi's Mansion 3, okay? Bit of a step up from Luigi's Mansion 2, but I gotta say, it does not excite me the way 1 did, you know? They brought back some of the superficial stuff. They like to do this, okay? Nintendo, they like to do this. In the Switch era sometimes. They like to be, oh, we're going back to basics. We're bringing back what you've all been asking for. Real sandbox Mario. And the boss ghosts from Luigi's Mansion 1. But like, you can't just do the one thing people like loudly ask for on Twitter and then expect the game to just be really, really good and amazing, you know? And I understand I'm in the minority opinion on all these, right? So everyone loves all these games. Luigi's Mansion 3, and I want to make it clear, Luigi's Mansion 3 is a very good game. Pikmin 4 is like a 6 out of 10, okay? That's probably the worst one on here. I think Pikmin 4 is genuinely just not a super great game. Just because it's not balanced very well, it's just not fun to play, as like compared to other video games in general, right? Mario Odyssey, though, it's an 8 out of 10, okay? Luigi's Mansion, it's like a solid 8 or 9. Luigi's Mansion 3. Luigi's Mansion 1 just like it has like a level of aura to it that they're not even trying to really get back to. They've made it very exploration heavy and sort of like everything is themed. There's a new theme to every floor, which is neat, but it just something about it, man. It doesn't capture it, okay? It doesn't do it all the way. It feels a little more like they've sanded down all the rough edges off it, you know? Luigi's Mansion 1 is a pretty rough game, but in cool ways, you know? Like, exclusively cool ways. Like, the weird kind of art style quirks that it has. All of those, like, add to it instead of detract, you know? I believe in the 3DS remake, they actually, like... They kept it pretty close, but they sanded off a little bit of that, and it was kind of sad. You know? But they did... It is a big step up from 2, which is, like, New Super Mario Bros. Applied to Luigi's Mansion, which was not a good, interesting art style, you know? What's next on here, okay? We got Mario Wonder's very good, okay? I think they did pretty good there. It's not gonna beat Mario World on, like... Because Mario World is like 64. It's got, like, a lot of quirks to it that they're just not... I don't think they're willing to replicate, and I don't know if they could either. Because of just a lot of specific stuff to do with it, you know? But Wonder is very good. It's very well done. These podcasts fucking hurt my throat, dude, when I can't stop in the middle and let other people talk half the time. Good lord. What do we got here? Okay. Super Mario Maker 2? Pretty good, I guess. That's fine, actually. Mario and Luigi Brothership. Okay, God, I love the Mario and Luigi RPG games, right? On the DS especially. Specifically, obviously, Bowser's Inside Story is like it's just a really good ass like action art, like kind of, you know, I don't know if action RPG is the right term. Active RPG, you know, never mind. I'm not getting into the RPG tangent, but but Mario and Luigi, right? Brothership. I'm kind of glad they made it at all. I think they cucked it because they released it after Mario RPG and Thousand Year Door remake, like within the same fucking year period, like within 365 days or whatever. It was not a good idea, okay? And that one probably got fucked. It probably sold like shit, and they're not gonna do another one. I'm dying for this one. But that game is not... It doesn't reach the heights, you know? And that game was sort of... That series was kind of on a downturn. I don't know, it just didn't do it for me. I did not finish it, okay? I feel like I spent 10 hours and got nowhere in that game. I do hear it has a very slow start and it does get better. I should really just pick it back up. But, you know, it's like... I don't understand, man. It feels like they've never been able to capture it, you know? And maybe it's just, oh, the Switch 1 era happened to happen at the point where I'm like not like the being a child and being nostalgic thing doesn't really work anymore, you know? Because I think I do actually have like a bit of nostalgia for like Breath of the Wild compared to like Odyssey, you know? Although both of those are like the same year. And it's not like that's a pretty long time ago. I was in like middle school when those came out. So I don't know. You know what I'm really nostalgic for is playing Shovel Knight on the Switch, because it was the other game that was out within like the first month or whatever. There was also Fast RMX. I had that and I tried it like once and I didn't care. But Shovel Knight I played with my friend on... We would just stay inside, okay? We wouldn't even go outside during the recess hour or whatever. We would just stay inside in the math class and play fucking Shovel Knight on Switch. And I think we did some 1-2 switch as well, which is like unhinged to do 1-2 switch in the math class, you know? But whatever. Milk the fucking cow mini game and do the wizard one where you point the Joy-Cons at each other. It's good stuff, right? But yeah, Shovel Knight, we got a lot out of Shovel Knight there, okay? That's a very nostalgic time for me, right? And then I go home and I play Breath of the Wild in bed all day. Yeah, but it's I don't know. It might be a nostalgia thing, I guess. Like, I don't think... but I feel like I can concretely point to things in like Pikmin 4 that are much worse than 3, right? I'm a Pikmin 2 guy, but I think 3 is also, like, an extremely good game. Like, Pikmin 3 you could easily argue is the height of that series, I think. Pretty easily. I don't think... Pikmin 4 just is not, you know? And same for Odyssey. I feel like you can make an argument that, like... Well... No, I think you can make an argument that like Galaxy is like the height of 3D Mario. I mean, that'll depend on which type of style you like. I don't think Odyssey like can be that. I just don't think so. And that's sort of my problem, right? Like all these series, I feel like they had such potential to be the best that they had ever been, you know? Kind of because these don't need to be like hard games. They don't need to be made for adult epic gamers to enjoy first and foremost, you know? They just need to have some level of like neat shit that you can kind of start doing and some like deepening of the mechanics just a little bit, right? Which brings us to what's this one, huh? Mario Party was pretty good, okay. Metroid Dread, this one I'll actually give the Switch, okay. Metroid Dread I think might be the best 2D Metroid, and it is it's not like a huge evolution on like the way it was in Super Metroid. It's still right around that sort of state, you know? It's only Metroid 5. Did you know there's only 5 main Metroid games? That's fucked, right? That's ridiculous. But yeah, it's Metroid 5, and it does just feel kind of like, oh, we're bringing back it's got all the stuff from Super. I assume some of that stuff's from Fusion. I know the story is heavily, you know, like a Fusion sequel or whatever. That's all good. I think that game is very, very good, and it could be the height. It's not like a huge evolution, but it's also like they farmed it out to like the like people who made like Castlevania on WiiWare or some shit, you know? Like it is kind of a miracle that game is really, really good and not like kind of sloppy bullshit, honestly. I know they treated those employees like shit to get it done. They shouldn't have done that, you know? Metroid Dread was like 5% worse, and those guys all got treated better. That would be okay. You know? I want shorter games with worse graphics for more money, and I'm not kidding. That's not true. I actually would not. If it were like substantially worse, it would actually be worth it to abuse the workforce at Mercury Steam, unfortunately. But you know, if it were like a little bit worse, it would be fine. It would be better. Okay, it'd be a good trade-off to improve the lives of the people. but Metroid Dread is, it's very good, okay. I'm happy with that one. That one's fine. Oh, that's Okami. I forgot I have Okami. Oh, we get to... Oh, shit. The WarioWares are kind of sneaking back in the back there, because I got a copy of that Super Monkey Ball that has, like, the big case, the big paper case outline for no reason, and I'm not just gonna put it out like the back of the shelf. Like you can't be putting Monkey Ball at the back. It's no good, okay? Monkey Ball is great, and that's a pretty good Monkey Ball, I think. But it's like WarioWare is a very it's annoying to have the box there and it sticks out and it covers up WarioWare. Okay, so WarioWare is next in line. WarioWare they kind of fucked with. They did so I don't know why they did this, but they did the thing where all the WarioWare microgames you have to play them with the little guy, which in theory that's like, oh well, they solve in different ways with different characters. There's actually more unique, it's a relatively efficient way. And it's a neat gimmick, and it sort of adds, like, all the new content. It's a pretty efficient way to do additional content. But in practice, all the minigames just play the same, and they're not fun, and they're no good. But WarioWare, is it Smooth Moves the other? No, Smooth Moves is the Wii. I can see it over there, right? And I can tell immediately, because it has a unique spine on my shelf, that it's Smooth Moves, and not a little bit of white text on a red background. But yes, get it together. No. Whatever, dude. The motion control WarioWare is pretty good on Switch, okay? But the big one we got to talk about, okay, to end this off, to end this phenomenal episode off, is Zelda, okay? This is going to be a controversial one. They fucked it, okay? I don't know why, but they fucked it, and they fucked it a lot. The thing about 3D Zelda is that it is a very samey, like the old formula, right? It was very samey. They did it a bunch of times. It never, like, people still fucking love Ocarina of Time, okay? No one, I mean, obviously, you can find a lot of individuals who will tell you Twilight Princess is the best one. No one thinks that, though, okay? On aggregate, no one actually thinks that. It's because it's not true. It's like, they just sort of kind of remixed it, and I think they did need to do something to switch it up. But the problem I have is that the template was already there, and it was not to go back to Zelda 1. Like, and I like Breath of the Wild a lot, okay? I like that it's very open. I really enjoyed looking around, like, going through that world for the first time and, like, seeing all the cool shit, I think that the greatest strength of that is going to all the unique spots and exploring and sort of getting the lay of the land and everything and finding, like, oh, look at this little cranny's got a fucking skull bokoblin giant guy, the Stalnox, whatever they're called. It's got one of those in there. It is Stalnox. I'm a goddamn Zelda genius. I remember the fucking Stalnox, dude. But that's sort of the strength of Breath of the Wild, It's that, and it's like min-maxing your stamina as you climb big mountains. Those are both great fun. And I like the combat system well enough, It's very good, right? But the thing about Zelda is, like, what you really need to do for that series is you need to do more side quests, okay? You need more in-depth side quests with cool characters and more interesting shit that is not just it's not like physics, like these do it your own way puzzles. Come up with your own unique solution. Look, we have 3 big blocks and you can put them together to make a tower. Like, I don't fucking those are not good puzzles, okay? And frankly, the puzzles were not the puzzles need to be good, right? And Breath of the Wild has, like, fine enough puzzles, I think, to get you through, like, a Zelda game. But they're not, like, super amazing. They're not as, like, in-depth or interesting. And the problem is, like, you kind of do need to, like, railroad people a little bit with puzzles. You kind of need there to be, like, a really good and interesting solution that you feel good about solving. It can't just be that you do whatever. If in the Portal games, you had, like, a second gun, and you could choose to use the paint gun to solve everything in its own unique way, and also, like, all the walls, you could just put portals on all the walls, it would suck, it would be bullshit, and it would be stupid, and no amount of, like, player expression and freedom would take away from the fact that you're just fucking portaling to the end of these, like, empty walls over and over and over, okay? That's every fucking shrine in Breath of the Wild, every time. And there's some good ones, okay? I believe there's one where you have, like, the fire. Like, there's, like, a big cube of torches, and you gotta figure out how to do that. That, I believe, was interesting. The meta shrines are okay, where it's like... Okay, this is another thing, right? They need to not have shrines. They need to just have, like, a cool thing like, a cool puzzle in the world, and then when you beat it, a little guy gives you a thing, right? And not like a Korok thing. They need to just... The shrines just need to be in the overworld, And to some degree, that's like, oh, people are going to cheese it, you know? If you just make it kind of annoying to, like, bring some bullshit from the outside in there, or hell, you just have the damn door there, you know? But just have, like, it, like, different textures and looks for them inside, it would be so much nicer. You know? I just don't like the fucking shrines aesthetically. They're no good. But the thing about Zelda, that is not the direction, like, just scrap, like, as good as that is, that's a pretty good game, right? And we'll get to Tears of the Kingdom, okay, which is not a good game. But the direction you take Zelda in is, it is, like, I like the exploration. You keep some of the exploration stuff a lot in there. What they need to do, the most interesting Zelda game is Majora's Mask, right? Okay? And the best part of that is you learn you have all these characters, right? This is the story pillar of Nintendo, right? This is the story game series that they do. Okay? It's not actually Pikmin, you know, as much as I think Pikmin 1, frankly, has a more engaging story than like fucking Wind Waker or whatever. It straight up does, okay? Pikmin 1's great. It's like, the best Zelda, like, Zelda is supposed to be the flagship, like, oh, this is the narrative one, this is where we experiment with that. Breath of the Wild basically gets rid of that. They're like, oh, there's cutscenes now, and they're voiced, and that'll tell you the backstory of, like, us, like, and it's a very basic story that you see, like, a little bit of, and none of the characters are good, and whatever. I believe Riju was the Gerudo lady. She's, like, the short one in Breath of the Wild. She was, like, a somewhat interesting character, I think. Mostly just because she was short, and that was weird. It's like, oh, why would there be a short Gerudo in charge? What implications does that have? And it was like she was really young or something. I don't remember. There was some, like, and that's right. This sounds like fucking stupid, right? But you compare that to all the other, like, leaders of the things, and it's like, oh, this Goron is scared. He's a scaredy Goron. Oh, this Prince Sidon, he's kinda rambunctious a little. I don't even remember. I remember he did a goofy smile. I don't even remember what his personality was. I don't think it matched the goofy smile very much. I think he was generally a pretty stoic guy. Like, all things considered, he was, like, kind of jovial but stoic. He wasn't, like, goofy, despite the goofy smile. So it's like, there are no good characters in that whole fucking game, okay? They're all bad. None of them are even slightly interesting, you know? In the way that, like, I think Zelda was kind of neat in Ocarina of Time just because she had, like, a, she just the fact that she has, like, this, just the fact that she's, like, you see her when, like, just, that game's, okay. I'm not a big Ocarina of Time fan. Just the fact that you get to see all these characters at two different, like, distinct points in their life, you know? And they're, like, all sad and fucked up and miserable later on because they're in this horrible dictatorship, and Malon's, like, living in this horrible shit, and you get to see Ingo, like, take over the farm. Like, just those little things. It's like, oh, you get an insight into these characters that you wouldn't get in, like, any other story that doesn't involve this specific sort of time travel that Ocarina of Time does, you know? And that's very neat. And it allows, like, characters that are pretty basic in concept to sort of just there's more intrigue to them, you know? And there's more, like, you feel neat, you know? You feel kind of sad when you realize what's happened to, like, Saria or whatever, you know, later on. And it's good stuff like that, and it's just none of that is there, right, in Breath of the Wild. There is no sense of, like, deeper connection with any of these characters at all. All the cutscenes are boring and lame. They kind of tried to make Zelda herself a little interesting, but not much, right? It's so sad, you know? And because the template was right there, because whereas in Ocarina of Time, there's sort of some intrigue to be had with all the main characters, in Majora's Mask, almost every side character, you get to see their whole routine in these 3 days, you know, and you see all of their problems, and you can solve their problems. And this is something I wish Majora's Mask played up a little more, is the fact that some of them are, like, very conflicted, right? It's, like, for instance, if you, I believe if you let there's the old lady carrying the bomb mask, right? And if you stop the thief, then the thief, like, fucks off or whatever, and you get the bomb mask, you know? But in another cycle, you have to let the thief get the old lady's stuff, because then he takes it back to his lair, and then you can bring Cafe in there and do like the Cafe quest, you know? So there's sort of like there are like dueling interests, you know? And same thing with, I believe the letter you deliver to Cafe, you can also just give it to the toilet hand and get the toilet hand thing, you know? So that's, it's things like that, you know? It's like you get to, I wish they played it up a lot more. I wish there was like, oh, you could take Anju's side. Or, I mean, the whole point is to bring those two together, you know? But, like, if there were two characters who hated each other and you could choose one of them, their sides more than the other, you know? That might have already been a thing. I don't really remember, honestly. I feel like that's something they would have done, but not to, like, a degree that's super great, you know? There was one bit in Breath of the Wild that was sort of like what I want out of this, though, right? Where there's... And I guess here, this is a character who's kind of interesting. There's that Sheikah guy who he's being, like, blackmailed or psyoped or something into helping the Yiga clan, and he goes up to that little hill every night, and you gotta like sneak and stealth behind him and stuff, and then go fight the Yiga guy to get the orb or something. I don't remember, but you know, it's just like you build a world and you have these characters exist in it. You get to see Anju go walk out in the rain, you know, she goes and takes a check and looks for Cafe on day 2 specifically. She goes out in the rain. That's very neat. It's just having these characters all have like stuff to do and their things, you know? And I feel like you get almost every character in that game has some sort of interesting thing, right? Like the Deku King is really neat. Just how pissed he is and how fucking unbelievably full of rage he is, and he tortures that monkey, you know? And like later on in Akana Valley, there's like the little kid who's got her dad is like in the fucking, her dad's a Gibdo, and you gotta fix them and make them like happy and stuff. And it almost, if I remember right, that almost seems like it feels like some sort of metaphor for something very traumatic and real, you know? The way that it's, I don't know if it even is. I don't know if I could make that map onto something specific, but just the way that that's handled, it's very interesting, I think. I just remember it being, it feels too real, okay, and it feels very sad, that whole scene, you know? And that's just, it's the story. Zelda is the Nintendo story series, so they tell some stories with it, you know? And it's not just, there's the overarching story, you know, of Link and whatever kind of journey he's on in that particular game. And then there's, like, Majora's Mask sort of feel, because especially as a sequel, it feels like a meta commentary on being able to, like, you have, like, having this sort of responsibility set on your shoulders and people not really know, like, people, because after Link gets back, you know, because of course he's erased the reality where he's saved the world. Now he, like, no one knows, no one recognizes what he's done at all. And in Majora's Mask, that's like a constant thing that he's dealing with, right? It's like, this character does not talk, by the way. He's nobody. He does not talk. He has, I mean, he kind of does. You can make him say yeah or no to rehearing the owl say his thing, you know? But you get a sense of his is just being, he feels very underappreciated and like kind of, or like, maybe not like, he's not like mad about it, I'd guess, or maybe he is, I don't know. But it's just, you get a sense of the character a lot more through the way that, like, because in that game, constantly your progress is being undone, you know? It feels like you're stagnant the whole time by design, you know? Even when you are making progress, and of course, you know, it's a story, so there's moments where things go up and moments where they go back down, you know? And it's like, it plays into the themes of like that game duology so well. And with Breath of the Wild, it's so barren and there's none of that. It's like, it's kind of neat that it's a post-apocalypse, and that's kind of cool to see in concept for Zelda, I guess. And you see, like, sometimes you'll see like there's like the dead guardians and there's the one sword in the middle or whatever, and that's kind of neat. But there's no interesting characters. There's nothing like that. I feel like leading into the character interaction would be the way to go for Zelda, you know? And Tears of the Kingdom, of course, fucked up because it got rid of all the cool things Breath of the Wild did do and made you play fucking Gmod, build a shitty go-kart, right? A little while ago, I believe we were doing tests for Richter Overtime's Gary's Mod server, right? A little while back. And he had this fucking Gary's Mod game mode set up where you would build a shitty little like sled, and the goal was to go down the hill the fastest and do a race on the hill. And it was so fucking frustrating because every time the physics would like fuck up and it would be bullshit, right? And that's sort of how it felt playing Tears of the Kingdom the whole time. Because those things, the physics would fuck up, or it would have some annoying thing it wanted you to do to make them work right. And at the end of the day, what you do is you go online and you Google, hey, how do I build that one thing that I've seen in the Twitter clips where someone puts a bike stand on two little fans and just flies over the whole game, and you do that, you know? And that's like, oh, well, oh no, you've robbed yourself of the enjoyment. You've cheated yourself of the fun of your mastering the building mechanic. But like, it wasn't gonna be fun, okay? I tried it for like half the game. It wasn't fun. Usually it would be ass easy. It would be like, oh, look, the secret here is you put a steering wheel on the fucking bird thing that you launch off of one of the Sky Islands. Wow, and look, we've got a bird thing and a steering wheel right here next to the spot where you need to use them for you. What an interesting puzzle. Now you as the player, you get to express your creativity a little by putting a jetpack on it if you want to. It's bullshit. It's so stupid, okay? And it's fucking Zelda. Railroad me down the story and give me puzzles, okay? And give me the tools to solve them and expect me to do it properly, okay? Fucking don't make me make my own fun in goddamn The Legend of Zelda. It is the most like linear, straightforward series, okay? And it's like, but the way that they got in really interesting, like, oh, like a sense of choice. Majora's Mask, you can do so much at so many different points in time. You can do so many of the different side quests, like, out of, like, there's no set order for them. They're just sort of there, the world's your oyster, okay? That's really cool, right? That's, like, the way you do it, is you have the structured main path, you know? Not this bullshit where, like, oh, there's the fucking, all the dungeons have to be about the same, and we make one of them slightly harder, because we kind of expect you won't go down to the Gerudo Valley until, like, later, maybe. So that one we can have, like, a slightly difficult boss at the end of, but the rest of them are just going to be all the same. And it's like, just make them... Zelda is about the progression. It's about the sense of, like, moving through and evolving and kind of growing, you know, and that parallels the growth of the fucking character every time, okay? It's always the growth of the character. It's the growth of fucking Toon Link and how his journey to become a real man, a real boy in his stupid water world. It's about, I don't know, the arc fucking Link chooses to not be a fucking dog boy anymore and become a real boy as well. In that game, whatever happens, and I did not play through all of Twilight Princess, okay? It's about, I also have not played Skyward Sword. You know, it's Zelda, though. It's about the story, it's the story game series. You make the story interesting, and you make the gameplay linear and kind of puzzle solving and fun. And it's just, like, they could redo they can have a big overworld, you know? This is the thing that Tears of the Kingdom fucked up most, is using the same overworld, right? Because they made it, it's like, oh, look, it's Breath of the Wild times 3, because there's 3 overworlds. Look at all of our empty copy-pasted islands and our entirely empty underworld. And it's like, what are we doing, okay? I spent so much time in those depths. I got every goddamn light route. I don't think there was anything there was like zero meaningful content down there, okay? There was like zilch nada. You can refight the bosses, and 1 or 2 of them were kind of fun. I didn't care for the octopus guy. I think Goma was pretty fun as a boss, you know, in that one. And they put twists on it in the arena. Like, sometimes there'll be like wind on the arenas and you get floated up or whatever when you refight those bosses. I did a thing. I went through and I hunted like every Stelnox and Hinox and Lionel and whatever the fucking Underground Depths one was, okay? I'm a fake Zelda fan again. I don't remember that boss's name. The fucking Mudflapper prick or whatever, you know? That stuff, I beat all of those. That was not worth my time. I shouldn't have done that. I got all the Koroks once in Breath of the Wild, and I knew not to do it in Tears of the Kingdom as well because of that, too. But it's like... And the thing, it's like Tears of the Kingdom is not an unfun enough game that I just didn't play it. I did still play like 300 hours or some ridiculous shit for that game. It's probably 150 or 200. But it's like... I was unhappy with it, okay? It also fucked the storyline harder than maybe harder than I've ever seen any story fucked. You know, and it's weird because it didn't actually fuck the story at all, right? Because you can just go, oh, well, all the old Zeldas, they're just back there, way further back in the timeline, you know? But it's like, they have basically rebooted the Zelda series, right? It's like, oh, we're just gonna pull in all the elements we want. We're gonna have the bird people with the fish people at the same time, even though it doesn't make sense in the lore. And we're going to kind of imply that there was a big flood once. We're just gonna reference all the old ones. Look, you can wear Majora's Mask, and there. That's like, okay, I don't usually get upset when they like, oh, look, they're cheapening it. They've made a Funko Pop of fucking Laura Palmer that's obscene and they have cheapened it. I usually don't care about that, right? I feel like Majora's Mask being an item that you can find and put on and it makes the enemies like not attack you. That's like man, come on. That is, Skull Kid is so fucking, like, such an interesting character, and like how he's allowed his own feelings of like personal inadequacy and stuff and like impotence to like lead him down this path of becoming the abuser toward all of his friends and stuff like that. That is such a fucking a neat thing, that like just a neat kind of topic for Zelda to go into and stuff and personify it with this mask. And now it's like a funny cosmetic, like switching to Mario 64 is in Odyssey, okay? It's like bullshit. It's bullshit. They made it nothing but bullshit. I don't fucking like these games very much, okay? They make me mad. But it also, the thing is, right, okay, so they rebooted the story of Breath of the Wild, like the whole Zelda series is basically rebooted, right? You can say Twilight Princess happened at one point and everything else is just Easter eggs, right? Ganon was there and he got fucked and he turned into a big pig monster, but like an extra goopy sky pig monster, not like the pig monster he normally is, like an extra gross pig monster. So yeah, it's like, do you imply vaguely that things it's really just Ocarina of Time also happened. Skyward Sword and Ocarina of Time, okay? That's the slate, and only vaguely, so because we wouldn't want to scare anyone off by assuming, like, referencing more heavily these games that everyone in the whole wide world has played, you know? We wouldn't want to do that and lower the player base a little. So they got to just be references. And like the same the statue is there again from the old one or whatever. So it's like, but the thing about Tears of the Kingdom storyline is that when they went back and they reveal, oh, the Zonai, who we built up in the last one as like kind of the side like enemy, that was kind of side faction from ancient Hyrule history, who was kind of neat. Oh, they weren't actually this like weird warrior barbarian group. They were just the Sheikah but goat people in the sky. That's boring. Okay, if you're gonna do Sky Islands in a Zelda game, in a fucking Zelda game that's full of references to all the other Zelda games, just fucking tie it into the one that's about the Sky Islands, okay? And not into this thing that was more interesting before you fucked it up and made it stupid, right? And then, when you see the fucking backstory of Ganondorf, it's like, when that Tears of the Kingdom trailer first came out and everyone saw like Ganondorf there and he had the big scar on his chest and shit and it was all fucked, people were like, oh my, holy shit, this is like this is the Twilight Princess timeline. It's a Twilight Princess sequel that's cool as fuck. It's gonna be a scary game, you know, because that's the thing we're doing. All the people are singing backwards and shit. It's all creepy. He's gonna be like this desiccated corpse. No, he's just Ganondorf again. And then you see his backstory, And it's like the dumbest bullshit you've ever seen. He's just like the most boring version of Ganondorf. He's like the surface level look you get at him in Ocarina of Time, and that's it. And they redo like some of the scenes, and they call it they redo the fucking shot of him like kneeling down in front of the king, and the king is named the same thing as the Light Sage. And it feels so soft rebooty bullshit, okay? It feels like Terminator Genesis. Oh, John Connor's the bad guy in this one, and we're gonna recreate some of these shots, but like, oh look, look, it's old Arnold is coming out and he's gonna beat up on the young Arnold from the first movie. Look at that. It's like, it feels it's called the Imprisoning War, by the way, except now it's the Triforce like doesn't matter, and we're gonna have these like tier stones, these secret stones. It's like they've just completely made this really lame reinterpretation of the old Zelda lore. It's like a shitty greatest hits. It's like if they made Mother 4 and they gave that the storyline, the backstory of Mother 4 was Subspace Emissary. Okay? Like the backstory to the sequel to like one of the most like emotionally intense like storylines in video game history, if the sequel to that instead chose to base itself on the stupid silly crossover bullshit one that they did, which is Subspace Emissary, where like, oh look Lucas is there and he cries, and then Ness comes in and blows up the big Porky statue for him. Isn't that cool? And it's like, that's sick as, by the way, don't get me wrong, right? Subspace Emissary is sick as fuck, okay? That's epic, that's hype, but it's within the context of Subspace Emissary being like bullshit and nonsense, and it doesn't really matter, right? You know? You could not form the basis of like a real storyline that anyone cares about, you know? On like any deeper level. So that like, they completely cucked it, and they made it suck. And for no reason. And it's like, it's Zelda. They could just, like, there's that new Silent Hill game, right? Where they hired like a popular author to just write the fucking game. And apparently, I think I've heard this pretty good, right? Just get someone it's the story one. Get a writer, get someone to make a story that is worth a damn, you know? Don't just bullshit your way through the whole thing, you know? Like fucking Half-Life. Okay, you know, I feel like those Zelda games, they must be building them sort of the way that Valve does the Half-Life games, where they kind of just make a bunch of bullshit and like cobble it together at the end into something. But Half-Life had like a story, you know, like they had people on there who had ideas to sort of tie together like different disparate elements and make them. They had Mark Laidlaw. Okay, he's a real author, and he had like ways to kind of give it like a sort of thematic core to the whole thing and stuff, you know. And they sort of, like, as they would come up with ideas, they'd sort of find ways to, they'd have the writers come in and have ways to kind of focus it in towards something kind of interesting, and then, you know, like write dialogue that isn't dog shit, for instance, and just make a story, you know. And it's like, it's Zelda. You gotta do it with Zelda. It's gotta have a good story. You gotta care at all, right? I feel like I might not even, maybe this is just Zelda. Maybe Zelda's the real problem with the Switch era, okay? All I'm saying, I hope, I've heard Donkey Kong Bonanza is very, very good. I have not heard that it's like a super deep platformer with like really interesting mechanics. I've just heard that it's very good and very fun, and it had a lot of stuff to get in it. So I'm like, I don't know, man. I feel like if the trend has to be that we're going to prioritize player expression and build these sandboxy games, and that's just going to be the future of Nintendo games, in addition to every other game, which it already is, you know, it's already been, it's got like fucking every multiplayer game has to be about cosmetics and taunts and talking and bullshit, and like being a room, like a chat room. It's like, I don't know, it feels like video games, they start clustering and congealing into one big, like, the same thing, you know? It's like Cyberpunk, like, the goal of Cyberpunk 2077, for example, is not to be an extremely good immersive sim, it's to just be, like, every game at once. in sort of I blame Grand Theft Auto, frankly, for doing that, because it was the first, like, every game at once. It's a driving game and an action shooter, you know, so, and like an open world exploration kind of thing. So it's yeah, it's really its fault. And now it seems like, oh well, if every Nintendo game is going to be like really simplified versions of mechanics that were really cool 20 years ago, and also there's like, but look, there's like a bigger world for you to go wander in. I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know if I wanted. I don't even know if I want to play these games as much as the old ones, you know? I'll stick to Mario 64 because you know what I can do? Hold on. This is going to blow your mind, right? With this port. Look at this, right? First off, 60 frames, okay? Widescreen, you can see it. You can full screen it, right? It's windowed right now because that's... I don't really full screen things in general unless I have to record stuff. But like things that matter, not this. Okay, so take a look at this though, right? Not this. Take a look at this, right? Server settings, mods. Okay. The great thing about Mario 64. Boom! Look at me. I'm fucking Star Road. Okay. You know what this is? This is some guy 10 to 15 years ago, closer to 10, I believe, just made a whole Mario, okay? And that's like a grueling process, okay, to make a ROM hack, to make a full-length ROM hack of Mario 64, especially back then. It's gotten much easier, like, relatively recently with, like, the decomps and stuff, you know? There's a lot more you can do with it. But you know, like, one person was able to make a Mario game that I enjoy more than Odyssey. And you know why? It's because it has the really good fucking movement mechanics, you know? That's like the one thing. It's just, I feel like it's not just like, oh, if it doesn't control Mario 64, it sucks, right? Okay, I want to be clear. It's not that. What I want is, I want there to be some depth and like stuff to do in it, you know? I feel like that's just been missing from modern Mario stuff. Look at this. I haven't actually finished Star Road, so I'm like, I haven't played too much of it. I played like a little bit once upon a time. It's very good what I played of it. I should really just go through and beat the whole thing, you know? But I'm like, oh, look at this. Because one of the problems with playing Mario 64 itself forever is that I already know everything you got to do forever. But with this one, I'm like, how do I approach this specific obstacle, you know? Look at this. I'm going to do a triple jump, okay? And that'll do it. Triple jump out. Oh, it did do it. Okay, that's good. But sometimes you got to do a long jump, right? Look at this one over here, right? Look at this one. This one is wall kicks, you know? Specifically wall. Oh, I'm bad at it. I'm bad at it now. Oh, okay. And I don't know. I feel like there's a more methodical kind of sense to it, you know. You gotta know when to go fast and when to kind of sort of slow down for Mario 64, and I like that about it a lot too. We got Koopa the Quick over here, man. This is fun. I love Mario 64. Okay, they could also just do Mario 64 movement in every future Mario game, and that would work, you know. To be clear, that would get me to be happy with it. You know. I like that they experiment and stuff. I don't like that it feels like for 3D Mario, this is a sunshine problem, okay? They gotta add a buddy who saves you from everything forever, right? Like, we can't have players falling off a cliff and losing 5 to 10 minutes of progress, otherwise they will have a conniption fit. So they better have a chance to hover back or use a little use the jetpack to hover back, or use fucking, I don't know, fucking spin back and just win the game that way. And that's stupid, okay? Bad way to make these games, right? Because it means that, because they're not like interesting ways to save yourself, you know? If you kind of fall off a cliff in this and you find a way, you're like, oh, I can do a real quick sick ass wall jump right here, you know? That's in Whomp's Fortress, if you try to fall down one of those holes and stuff, if you like fuck up there, and then you can kind of save yourself with a wall jump. That's pretty neat. Oh, can I get up there with this? Can I do the wall kick to grab the side? maneuver. You don't see this in fucking Odyssey. You can't do a wall kick to grab the side, okay? You can't there either, though, because that's not the solution to this particular jump, I think. You know? Am I selling you on Mario 64 as the greatest movement system? Oh, is it go up here and do a long jump? It's go up there and do a long jump, dude! Oh, fuck. And then just don't fall down there. But yeah, you know, it's like, I feel like it's just, there needs to be some depth to it, you know? You cannot supplement the depth that you would otherwise get from a really good movement system by just having you, like, turn into a tank for half the moons, or turn into a Goomba, or whatever. That's, like, neat to do in Odyssey, but it's like, I don't know. I'm not inspired by this. I don't feel any urge to, like, get better at the Goomba controls or the tank controls. And I'm already as good as I can get at the base controls, you know? I mean, obviously there is, like, a higher level of play to Mario Odyssey, right? There's, like, speedrunners who are better, like, significantly better than the game than me. And not just significantly, but, like wildly, like, extremely to insane degrees, you know? But, like, I don't, like, nothing in the game demands that you get even, like, a little bit better. Like, as you go, you know? There's just nothing does. That fucking, I remember the Bowser level, you play the fucking little bird for half of that one. I feel like that little bird that you play and you stick your fucking nose into the goddamn wall, I feel like that character had, like, I felt like I had a more interesting time learning to master that and learning, like, how to do the specific flicks and learning you could do a spin, and then that would send you flying really high. And then, of course, once you know that, unfortunately, then you just do that for every jump and you win. Which is the same thing you do for the other fucking one. That's no good. But it's, you know, it's like, yeah, that's just how it'll be, apparently, for forever for Mario games. I feel like that was more fun. The point I was trying to get at was that bird was more fun to control and learn how to control than Mario was in that game, which is no good, you know? Because Cappy did not add, okay, in any conceivable ways to the platforming. Not in ways that I really enjoyed. I did enjoy learning that sometimes you gotta go into a ball and roll down a hill. You know? It's like, which Avenger do you want to be? Which Avenger are you, okay? I'm Tony Stark and you're the pig rolling down the hill, okay? That's a good reference that everyone's gonna get. Okay. Yeah. You know. Anyway, my point is the Switch era has not, it's been an unprecedented level of, like, greatness in terms of hardware. Kind of precedented, but, you know, like, you can't say the Wii U, oh, the Wii U is the coolest game console. You'll get laughed out the room, okay? You can't say something like that. So it's got to be the Switch. Switch 2 with the fucking mouse controls. That makes me think, like, oh, will they make shooters kind of neat, or will they cuck out and still balance them around the people who refuse to use fucking gyro aim, you know? I didn't play Splatoon, so I don't know how big of a problem that really is. But I feel like they've shooters on the Switch are, like, that I have played are not very inspiring or super amazing. I don't know. It just feels like they're fucked a little bit. Or like when they do aim in Zelda or whatever, it's kind of sad. I don't know. I feel like if they just leaned into like because obviously the balance you want to strike is okay. It's Bushnell's law. Okay, this is something I was reading about on Wikipedia. Nolan Bushnell once said games should be easy to learn and difficult to master. You know, and he was talking about so you feel an urge to stuff more quarters in when you're playing space, not Space Invader. Like some proto Space Invader bullshit, okay? On like that was like on a whatever. It wasn't like pixels, it was like a vector graphics, okay? That's how old we're talking. This is a 1970s observation about video games and how to make them good. And it holds true today, I think, you know? Because Mario 64 might be, there is such a depth to this game that is unhinged, okay? I've been watching these 4-hour long Pan and Coke videos about doing the A-button challenge and fucking, like, the invisible walls and stuff, you know? It's been crazy. It's like genuinely, and I'm sure you could, it's weird though, it's weird, right? Because I'm sure you could find, like, oh, there's like bullshit that you can do to kind of, well, maybe you couldn't, you know? Because some of the things that they get up to, right, it's like when you can't jump, you gotta resort to everything, you know? So it's like, they've learned how to do RNG manipulation, right? See, every time Mario moves in this, right, see those dust clouds? Those, like, impact the RNG. So what they've done is they've started making TASes, which is like you record, they're like replays in the Source engine, right? You record all the inputs and you play it back, and then for them, they can go back and, like, change the inputs and stuff, you know, and perfect it and do it all. Like, basically, like, create a series of inputs through, and create, like, the best one, you know? And what they do is they found, like, you can do RNG manipulation. So, for instance, if you make the right dust clouds on the right frames in the right order and whatever, you are able to... That influences the game's programming, because all these, like, very simple kind of programming things are kind of interlinked in the game's code. That can influence, like, say, the direction all the coins fall when you hit a certain enemy. You know, all the coins will come out in this specific pattern if we do them with this RNG value as determined by the dust clouds, you know. So they've found, like, this way to, like, bend the code around it because of the specific ways that, and, like, the programming kind of shortcuts, and, like, oh, if we have one, like, you know, if we have this one RNG thing or this one thing that impacts the RNG, then we can kind of just have the RNG value, like, work for, like, a lot of things in the game at once, you know. It's like saves on memory in our tiny little cartridges, you know. So it's it's stuff like that, you know. I don't know if that can... You can never get to that level, right? Where it's like, it's simple enough that you can still, like, a single person can spend 20 years and figure this stuff out on their own, you know? Because I don't think you could do that with, like, Mario Galaxy, you know? I don't know if that's possible. To do, like, to make a discovery like that and do these kinds of ridiculous challenges in Galaxy. And like start doing them to, like, a high level in the way that the A button challenge has been done, you know? I don't think it's possible. To be clear, the A button challenge is not complete, you know. It's not like they're not optimizing this right now. They're still trying to figure it out. It's like I believe it's been going pretty strong and pretty consistent for like 15, 20 years now. Not 20. It's been pretty... It started 20 years ago, like pretty shortly after the game came out. People were doing like, oh, what stars can we get without the A button? Look, this one, you only have to walk up, you know? You do, it's the one on top of the pyramid, you can just walk to the top of the pyramid, you know? That's cool. You know, it's like, they've been doing it kind of, like, after they exhausted all the stars you can do that with, and you have to start learning, like, really weird shit, and then go into the code, and then, become a programmer so you can do that more efficiently. That's the sort of thing. I don't think that's... like, people aren't ever going to be doing that in Galaxy, I don't think, you know? And it's because there's this specific kind of balance. And that's just sort of a state of, like, oh, well, that's just how games were made at the time, you know? Like, for Ocarina of Time, there's sort of similar stuff. Like, that's just something that's sort of... Like, N64 level games, I'm sure lots of PlayStation games, there's also the ability to do stuff like that, but no one gives a fuck, okay, about those old-ass PlayStation games. Not enough people care about fucking Crash Bandicoot 1 to want to do it, you know? So we'll never know. Yeah. That's sort of... That's like... And games don't need that level of depth, okay? They don't... I don't need them to program ABC Challenge into Mario Odyssey 2. I just need Mario to be fun to move as, and fun to learn how to move with more efficiently and better, you know? Because I feel like I've been playing Mario 64 a lot, and I still only have, like, a pretty good handle on the movement. I can't, like, fully schmoove and fully improvise stuff, like, all the time, you know? The way that you'd want to. I do stuff like that, I just jump off the side because I misjudge how far to do the triple jump, you know? But I think I'm better than the average person would be for Mario 64 control. And I feel like the game has kind of encouraged me to learn how to do that, which is... It's just nice. It's nice when games make you do stuff that's fun, even if you kind of have to work at it. But I don't think that's a thing anymore. I don't think that's a thing that they're going to do in future Nintendo games, unfortunately. So I think we're just... You know? I don't know, man. It's Mario. I like Mario, and I want the best for him, is all I'm saying, okay? I don't want these games that are too shallow. They rely... Because this is sort of an interesting thing about the progression of 3D Mario itself in general, right? Because the reason Mario 64 is how it is is because they couldn't just have a bunch of levels with a gimmick in every level, because the cartridge wouldn't let you, because it's like 8 megabytes or whatever. Less than that, it's like 4, I think. So they had to make these levels that are reusable and make the mechanics themselves more deep and kind of interesting to do, you know? Nowadays, for Mario Odyssey, every single moon can have its own gimmick, you know? And it's like, obviously the dev resources are pretty high to do that, to like make a new gimmick, but it's like, okay, well, then we'll have like 100 of them that have a unique gimmick, and then, you know, like 800 are gonna be the same gimmicks, kind of retooled a little, you know? But not to the point where it's like, oh, you have to get really good at these specific mechanics. It's like one of them's easy and one of them's a little bit harder. It's like there's the one where you have to walk in a circle correctly, and then the next one has like a different shape than a circle. And it's like, whoa, we're really testing my knowledge on the circle walking mechanic in this, where you have to use your object permanence to imagine the circle in your head after the circle's outline disappears, and then follow it. And follow the same sort of path, you know? And that's like those gimmicks are fun the one time, but it's like, I don't want to replay Mario Odyssey ever again, you know? It's like it's really fun to play through like one time, and then it's no good afterward, because it's just the same thing again. And it feels like you can't do anything to make it different or anything, you know? I feel like every time I do Koopa the Quick in Mario 64, I'm like doing something a little different, and I'm learning like how to better traverse that specific area, right? In Mario Odyssey, I already know, so I have no incentive to continually replay their stuff, you know? Their Koopa race missions were actually pretty good in Odyssey, though, honestly. I wish Koopa the Quick would make a full comeback, because I like that he's really big in 64, but I understand why they make small Koopas for the rest of them, you know? And some of it does get pretty difficult toward the end. There's some challenging stuff, like with the races specifically. I believe the Mushroom Kingdom Koopa races were pretty tricky, if I remember right, and that was kind of fun. You know, and it's just, you know, just do that more often, you know? There are some moons that there are some moons that are too frustrating, because they're just not very fun, and they're just annoying. There was like one with like a bonsai bill that was really annoying, I remember, in like the New Donk City. That one was no good. It was like a bonsai bill and a scooter were involved, I think. It was like, you'd know it if you have played that game and you remember it was annoying. But there's you know, like some of them are really, like, there's pretty good challenges built in there too. When you refight some of those bosses, I think they made some of those fun through the challenges, you know? And of course, the way the Mario games kind of deal with this is they have one really hard level at the end, which I think is not a good way to deal with it. It used to be a hard world, now it's not. It's a hard level. Wonder had a hard world, or it at least had a few hard levels. No, it had like a world. It did the Mario World specific, yeah, Mario World kind of thing, where you go to the special levels and stuff in the sky or whatever, right, that you teleport to. I don't know, but yeah, it's just what I want out of these games is just some deeper mechanics, some deeper intrigue, some stuff that feels less surface level, and also to not just completely fucking obliterate the entire point of the game for no fucking reason, like with Tears of the... They spent 6 fucking years. It's so stupid, right? Who on the Zelda team was like, oh, we need to make the next Zelda about building cars. And in order to do that, we are going to reuse the same overworld so we can make it nice and quick, you know? But also, we have to recode the entire physics engine from the ground up. And there's a pandemic in the middle, which is not their fault, but, you know. It's like... Well, now our quick little asset flip sequel, like reuse, you know, reusing all the stuff, it worked for Majora's Mask, it straight up did, and it deepened all the themes and stuff, but now it has taken as long as the first one did, if not longer, and it's about building cars, and the overworld's the same, and I'm remembering, right? It's like, they made a straight sequel. It's a straight up sequel. But what if someone bought a Switch in 2020 and they didn't buy Breath of the Wild, you know? That game that we sold like 20 million copies of, what if someone hasn't played it and they buy Tears of the Kingdom? It's like obvious, advertised as direct sequel. Well, they might not remember what happened to the characters and stuff. So most of the characters are going to act like they've never fucking seen you before for no reason, We're not even gonna follow up on the storylines that they had within the last fucking game. We're gonna like soft reboot them too for no reason. It's like a Master Quest, okay? How did the Master Quest even release, man? This was like some bullshit in the GameCube era, okay? They put Ocarina of Time was like it was on like a bonus disc with like a special version of Majora's Mask or something, and to spice it up, they put in the Master Quest, which was Ocarina of Time but like remixed. It was like a ROM hack where it's like, oh, there's look, all the dungeons have different puzzles and it's flipped, you know, it's like mirrored, you know, so like everything, you know, yeah, everything that was on the left is now on the right, you know, so like the parties in the 60s with the Southern strategy and all that. And it's yeah, it's like and that's what Tears of the Kingdom is. It's like this and they charged you an extra $10. Okay, they upped it to $70 so they could sell you the Master Quest, which previously was on a bonus disc. Is like a bonus. It's like a bonus. It was like a bonus to the bonus. Okay, bullshit. But they spent 6 years and $100 million making it for no reason, and it sucks. And I hope, because here's the thing, right? Sometimes most people who make things that suck are not they're not like unaware that it sucks, right? You watch those Phantom Menace behind the scenes, and George Lucas is like watching the ending, and he's like, "This is fucked, and this sucks. I made bullshit." You know, people are aware, at least to some degree, that when they make something really bad, that it's no good. I'm aware that this podcast that I'm doing right now is no good, and it's rambly, and it's gone on for too long, and I can barely hold on the same thought. You know, I'm aware of all these things. I'm more aware than you can know. Okay, so I hope that the people who made fucking Tears of the Kingdom, I really hope that they are not like creatively satisfied having made that thing. Not to the point where they're like miserable and want to quit making stuff. I just hope they make the next one better and they hire a writer to make a good story for it, okay? And I hope the same for like Mario Odyssey. Like I guess, I mean, they did Donkey Kong right after, and apparently that's really good. But like, I don't know. I'll have to play that, okay? I currently do not have a Switch 2. But it would be neat to play that. I don't know. But that's Nintendo, you know? The state of Nintendo right now, it is, they have never been doing better financially, right? That might not be true, because there was a period, right, when the Wii was selling really well and the DS was selling really well. That might have, like, if you adjust for inflation, that, like, what would it be, like 2008, 2009, that period might have been better for them financially, just because they had the two. Well, no, probably not, though, right? Because I think this, well, no, because the DS sold a lot of fucking units, and so did the Wii, and they like making their profits off their hardware, and those games were all selling really good, so I don't know. They might still be making more money. They're probably making more money through, like, merchandising, because merchandise goes up forever because there's more people. And they have movies now as well. And those movies are dog shit too, by the way. I'm saying movies because I know Mario Galaxy 2 is not gonna... Mario Galaxy movie will not be any better than Super Mario movie, okay? Because it's gonna be about Chris Pratt going from his he's gonna start out in his Illumination world, and there's gonna be like, oh look, that's the Koopas are living in Brooklyn now because they've been walking through the pipes, and then they're all gonna go to the. It's like, oh no, Bowser's back. He's doing a space mission. He's doing a space thing, or like a new villain's doing a space thing, and then Jack Black and Chris Pratt are gonna team up at the end. It's gonna be some hacky Illumination, like, basic bitch kids movie bullshit plot, okay? It's gonna suck, and it's not gonna be good. And it's not gonna be like hacky and simple and stupid in like the fun Nintendo way. It's gonna be hacky and bullshit in the shitty Illumination way. Because that movie just fucking sucks cock, okay? And Zelda is a live action thing about some fucking... they're putting Sony on it, so it's gonna suck too, you know. So it's like, it feels like they're sacrificing there's so much sacrifice of all the stuff that I really like the most about the Nintendo kind of style and the way that they used to make stuff, and they're sacrificing a lot of it for broader mass appeal kind of thing, you know. And I feel like these series are losing their way. Metroid Prime has a motorbike now, and that feels like, because Metroid, I don't want to be doomer. I don't want to be like, oh, they made it shitty over the fact that there's a bike in the trailer. But they did have the bike, and then they didn't do anything good with it in that one trailer, and it's like, I'm like worried, you know. I think that'll probably still be a very good game, but like, if it's like, well, it's very good, but it's like 20% less good than Metroid Prime 1, it's like, well, okay. Then like, it's nice to play through a new Metroid Prime the one time, but then if I ever get a hankering for Metroid Prime again, I'm not gonna replay the new one that's not as good. I'm gonna replay the old one from 30 fucking years ago before I was goddamn born, because it's the better one, you know? And that's the more fun one, and it has more interesting things to do, and it doesn't make you ride a motorbike through an empty desert for half the game for no reason, right? And it's like, well, if that's just going to be how they're making these games, like, why would it's just, it dampens the excitement for all of them. It just makes them feel more hollow, you know? I want them to be a little more unique and cool with it, you know? And just they gotta make sure that, because they do a good job at retaining some aspects and really innovating on different ones and giving them unique gimmicks and stuff. They just keep choosing the wrong shit to carry over, you know? They just gotta start carrying over the right things. Like Pikmin's cool story that spanned 3 games and was really neat and had a lot of little like deep lore implications and stuff, you know? Don't fuck that for no reason and put a stupid dog in it. Just make another Pikmin game and have some cool rock Pikmin and kind of iterate on the cool bits of the old one and kind of add new twists to it, you know? Dog is not a good twist because it invalidates all the cool shit from the old ones immediately for no reason. So just don't do it. Do something else. And that goes for all of them, you know? Ugh. I feel like I'm not too deep on Animal Crossing. I feel like I have seen things that were like, oh, this is there are actually like NPC interactions that you used to do in the old ones that you just don't do in New Horizons, and it's like, I don't like just what's the point? The value of the village is the people, okay, right? A nation is not a nation is not the buildings. A nation is the people, right? That's the message of Thor 3. Not Thor the Dark World, Thor 3, which is Ragnarok, right? Asgard is a people, not a place, okay? The Animal Crossing's value does not come from how many cool fountains and flower beds you have constructed on the overworld. It comes from Celia, okay? And making friends and then getting really upset when she tries to move out of your village, and then trying to spend all night trying to talk to her over and over because you don't understand how the NPCs work and how you can make them not move out, you know? That's the good bit of Animal Crossing, and they need to bring that back as the focus, right? You know? And it's just, I feel like that's been if there is a theme, it's the fact that they've made these very broad, you know, either broad, like they've focused on like mass appeal and stuff, and like specifically like Pikmin 3 is very baby, Pikmin 4 is very baby mode, you know? Pikmin 3 was also kind of baby mode compared to the other ones, but like in ways that made sense, in ways like the levels aren't randomly generated and sometimes they're impossible, you know, for example. That's something you don't want, you might want to baby down a little bit, you know, in a polished sequel 20 years later, 10, 12, however long it was between 2 and 3 Pikmin. But yeah, it's like they've been these games are they have a lot of stuff to do, but none of it is very satisfying, and none of it is very inspiring, and none of it is very memorable, and makes me want to like come back and do it again, you know? I don't think I'll probably replay Mario Odyssey someday, but I don't really want to. And you know, it's like after another 5-10 years, I'll probably want to, you know? Then I'll play it, and I won't like go back to it, you know? I could play just Mario 64 over and over forever, probably. Especially with ROM hacks, you know? So it's like they need to have more interesting kind of depth to the mechanics is what I'm saying, okay? They need to. Or they're gonna be boring games relative to the old ones. And like, I feel like no aspect of a modern Mario game should be getting shown up by the first like successful 3D platformer ever. You know? Yeah. It's a slippery slope, okay? And you know what it started with? It started with the slidey wall jumps, where you slide on the wall. I don't know which one did that first. I think it's probably Sunshine. I know 64DS also did it. I'm pretty sure 64DS was after Sunshine. And then New Super Mario Bros. Also did it, and by then it was all Jover, okay? For real wall kicks, right? You know? And that's like, you know. And it's like, it doesn't necessarily even have to be stuff like that. It's just, there just needs to be more intrigue and more interesting stuff to do, you know? Like, I don't really like Mario Sunshine, and I quit it when I tried it, you know, but I have more respect for the fact that it pissed me off than if it had just let me kind of cruise through unbothered, you know? Mario Galaxy, I'm not a huge fan of. I have played through all of that. I've beaten that probably at least once, you know, on the Wii. And I have respect for the fact that some of those levels are, like, pretty fucking tricky, and they take a lot of tries, and they're, like, kind of... Some of them are kind of fucked, you know. Some, like, that Manta Ray one, that one they could have fixed, you know, and made it less annoying. But I prefer that a million times over fucking Mario Odyssey, where, like, very little of that game is super challenging and interesting, you know. I don't know. I'm sad. And I've just been repeating myself for the last, like, 40 minutes, probably, or more. You know, Marvel Spider-Man, here's the thing, it's not just nostalgia goggles, right? Marvel Spider-Man has, it's not like a super in-depth movement system to the point of, like, because you compare that to the really old one from, like, 2004, right, where, like, it's all fully physics-based swinging or whatever. That is always, like, inherently going to have a much higher, skill ceiling to it and stuff that you want to master, right? But Marvel Spider-Man has an extremely polished and relatively, compared to that game anyway, like relatively limited level of like range of motion and like max speed and stuff like that. But it felt really satisfying, and it took me like most of the game before I felt like I was doing really good and able to consistently get nice high speeds and stuff, you know? Like you feel like you're kind of slow and not good at it at the start, and then you feel like you're schmoovin' by the end. And that's like that's a great way to make a game, you know, and make it feel like you're getting better as it goes and stuff, right? I do not feel that with most of for Breath of the Wild. You get a little bit of that when you learn like when to do the flurry rushes on each enemy type, and then you play Tears of the Kingdom and it's all the same enemy types, and you can kind of intuit like the few new ones and whatever well enough, and it's like, well, yeah, that game, like just the fact that they made a game where like where all your skills transfer over 100%, right? And it's like, well, there's no learning new things in that game at all outside of how to build a car. And for that, you just Twitter it. You'd look on Twitter and you look at the vehicle everyone was making when it came out. You just use that one, okay? And you know what? You know what sucks about that, right? Is fucking... I was using someone came up with a Green Goblin glider, right? I forgot how that one worked exactly. It was like it might have just also been two fans on a stick, right? But you put them in a different configuration. It was neat. And it made me feel... someone called it the Goblin Glider, and I like the Green Goblin. So that one I enjoyed using more. And then someone came up with the bike one, and I saw that, and it was more efficient and better. And it's like, well, okay. I mean, I'll use it, but now I'm not the Green Goblin anymore. I'm a fucking bike prick flying through this completely dark, empty world heading to the next fucking light route so I can illuminate the nothing around me. The procedurally generated, inverted the height map fucking nonsense around me, okay? Real good. That's a bad game. It's a really bad game, dude. And I want to make it clear, that is not an opinion that I've picked up from watching a YouTube video, right? That is like Like I was hyped as fuck when I started that game, and as I played it, I felt like, oh well, I like went to Terrytown and there was like very like everyone didn't know me. I was like, oh. And I went to that one village and they were like, oh, the village is destroyed now. Now collect 500 logs in order to repair the village. And I was like, oh. And I which one? I believe I went to Death Mountain and they were like, oh, look, we've got a new problem, Link. All the Gorons are eating bad meat. And I was like, oh man, you know. And it's just as you go and you're like, oh man, I can't wait to see what they've done. I can't wait to see how they've changed this area and they've revamped it and made it all interesting. And it's like every it just keeps disappointing you over and over. It's like, oh, Hateno Village, what's going on in Hateno Village? Oh, everyone likes mushroom hats right now and they're having a mayor election. And it's like, well, I mean, that could be neat in theory, but they didn't. I couldn't tell you those mayors' names or whatever. One of them was crooked, something. I think it was like the nice one was crooked and the mean one was honest. I don't know. I feel like I never went to an area from Breath of the Wild and saw something really cool there, right? Like, the Rito Village was frozen, was like cold. That's kind of neat. But they already did that in Ocarina of Time when they made Zora freeze over. You know, so like they made Zora's poisoned. They got gunk in their shit in Tears of the Kingdom. That's pretty cool, right? Sort of like how the Dekus were poisoned in Majora's Mask, you know? As I think more, the more I remember of that game, the more upset I am about it. Maybe I should just stop. Okay, maybe I should put that one out of my mind, you know? But the thing with the Switch is, despite all of that, despite the fact that all of its like original games they feel like pale imitations of what once was, okay? It's also a console where I can play Hyrule Warriors on it, and I can play Okami and Monkey Ball, and like those are like ports of like the really best versions of the old ones, you know, and that's pretty neat. Mario Party Jamboree is like a top 2 or 3 Mario Party, extremely good. Mario Superstars, just bringing back some of the old courses, you know. I wish they weren't so stingy on the fucking. This is another thing. This is like another issue, and this is unrelated to the quality of the content. Okay, it's the amount, and this is not a problem for the really big games, right, where there's like a shit ton of stuff to do and it's all shallow. Okay, it is a problem with a lot of their smaller games. This is a big problem with the Mario Tennis. I believe it was very bare bones when it came out, and then they sort of added stuff with like free DLC. And same Mario Maker 2, they also added a lot with free DLC. That one was pretty featureful when it first came out. And obviously, you know, they brought over everything from the first one, you know, and they just sort of added more. That was pretty good. But like for Mario Party Superstars, right, it has 5 boards, which I know, oh, look, all the ones on the N64, they also had 5 boards. I don't care, okay? Super Mario Party had like 4, I think, and like one that was just a square or something, you know? And it's like for some of these, it feels like they're giving you just a little less than they should, you know. Not like a ton less. It's not like, oh, it's like horrible, but it's like just, it feels like they're skimping out just a little, you know. If Mario Party Superstars had 7 boards and 2 of them were from like the GameCube ones or whatever, that'd be neat, you know. Instead, it's 5 of them. I believe all of them are N64 boards, right? And it's like, well, okay, that's fine, I guess, you know. And it's a fun game to play through. It's fun to play through. You play through. It's Mario Party. It's a fun game, though. It's a very good Mario Party. It has all the old mini games, you know. It has the Mario Party top 100 mini games, as opposed to the, not to be confused with Mario Party's top 100 mini games on the 3DS, which is a game that's just the mini games. And it's like a slightly different selection of the top 100, and they like rethemed some of them. Like the 3DS one has like, I believe for I don't know what it's called. It's the one where it's like Simon Says, and the toad holds up the color of which platform you jump on, and you jump to that platform. I believe they use like the Mario Party 1 version on they use the cloud themed version in one of them, or the water one in one of them, and then they use the fire themed one in the other one or something. So that's like a weird thing that they did with those. Mario Party the Top 100 is the official real title of that game, by the way, on the 3DS. Great stuff, you know. But yeah, that is a thing that they've been doing, is giving you just a little less than you want, you know. And I sort of, at least for some of those kind of spin-offy games, I usually just, I hear that they don't give you a ton and I don't get them, you know. Some of them have, like, the weird thing is the contrast between some of their games have, like, an insane overabundance of amazing content in it, is, like, Hyrule Warriors, because Hyrule Warriors has, three different Hyrule Warriors worth of expansions just kind of put into that game, plus it's a Warriors game, so there's just a shit ton of stuff to do in general, you know? And also Mario Kart 8 is the other big one that just has a shit ton of stuff, because it's all grandfathered in from the old version, plus they added a little more, and then they kept adding a little more after that too. Smash Ultimate. Smash Bros, I guess, is a series that is at its best on Switch, but that's because one guy makes all the choices. And he's good at making those choices, okay? I don't know how true that is. That feels like that can never be true, right? Like, I feel like whenever people give Miyamoto like all the credit for coming up with everything in Mario, it's like, well, that just can't be true, right? Like all the good ideas can't come from one guy. But for Sakurai, that does seem like it might be real. It might just be, you know. He at least gets very final say on all this shit, it seems. I don't even know. Well, I guess it's because of Smash Bros, right? It's because of Brawl. It's because Brawl specifically, he made him an awful lot of money, so they let him do whatever he wanted from then on, I believe. And good for him, because now he gets to make Kirby Air Riders, you know? He's doing one for them and one for me strat, where you make Smash Bros and you almost die working on it, and you get put on an IV drip, and you get carpal tunnel or whatever happened to him. And then you get to make Kid Icarus Uprising, you know? So that's good for him. Yeah. But Smash Ultimate, it does have everything in it. Almost everything of value from the old ones, except for Subspace, you know? But I enjoyed the adventure mode, even if it's not quite as good. I enjoyed it well enough, you know? Lots of battles to do and lots of fun stuff. Dr. Kawashima's Brain Training on Switch. That's probably about as good as the ones on the DS, if I had to guess. That one, fun fact, you can't get it in America because they don't... America, as opposed to... It's kind of crazy, honestly. I don't understand why this is the case. America is specifically much more restrictive on, like, quack bullshit around brain training or something. They don't like Dr. Kawashima and his fucking snake oil over there. So you can't get a North American copy of it. You have to get a European copy of that. It's like the only PAL Switch game I have, which is fine because you can play them all. They're not region locked anymore, you know. My Okami is Japanese because I don't think they sold it in North America either. But yeah, it's Brain Training is probably about the same. It came with a little stylus though, and that's pretty neat, right? I have a real official Nintendo stylus for my Nintendo Switch, so that's fun. I used it a lot for Mario Maker. But yeah, that's about it, okay? The Switch is an extremely good console, you know, and I'm happy to have it. And I like the memories I've made. And I like playing a lot of those games. Even all the ones that I've bitched about, okay? They are all very good games when you play them the one time. They just leave me feeling very hollow and not necessarily excited. Because I feel like now that I'm aware that this is sort of the direction they're going in, I'm going to, like, force myself to look for it in every game. I'm going to be, like, hyper... Like, if I play Donkey Kong Bonanza, I'm going to be like, oh, how much depth is there here, you know? And I hope that those games are all good enough and good enough for their one way through that I like kind of forget about it and just enjoy them for what they have and play them through, you know. But whatever, we'll see. I like Nintendo though, okay, and I like Mario, and I want Mario to be the best the Mario can be, which is better than fucking Chris Pratt, certainly, at the very least. Okay, we can all agree on one thing. I hope it's that. This episode's real episode's coming soon, as in hopefully next week. I'll see if Heartsy wants to watch Spider-Man, perhaps. Goodbye.